Now we're live, Chuck. Welcome again to Tuesday night, the 12th of September,
Now, are we
2020.
live?
We're live now. We just spent the last 2 minutes talking, and I forgot to push the live button.
Well, let's cut to the chase, and we'll get into all the nuts and bolts of the show, which is going to be a great show and great discussion. But you got to tell me the Krispy Kreme story.
Okay, here's the Krispy Kreme story.
All right.
Now, since you're living down there everything, Krispy Kreme originates out of Winston,
Okay.
the Winston, Greensboro. And everybody that knows anything about Krispy Kreme knows the hot and ready sign.
Right.
So years before we moved out here to Waynesville, we lived over in Asheville in the Irwin section. And one evening, my young daughter Brooke and my beautiful insane wife Janet went out to do whatever, and they left Jonathan and I at the house. So if you know, and everybody knows where the Krispy Kreme is on Patton Avenue.
Right.
So they went down there, just the two of them, and they saw the hot and ready sign come on, and Janet said, "Hey, let's go get some donuts for David and Jonathan, and we'll take some home." Now everybody again knows the hot and ready donuts. That's just a different level thing. When you get the hot donuts, it's a different level. So they went through and got a dozen donuts and pulled out of the parking lot back onto Patton Avenue to go down to the turnaround and come back up towards Lester Highway. Well, one of them said, "Hey, let's eat a couple of donuts." So they had a couple of donuts. And then the next thing you know, they said, "Well, hey, let's eat a couple more." Now, these two little skinny girls, by the time they got to Lester Highway, had eaten the whole dozen. So now they're going, "Uh-oh, what do we do?" So they went back to Krispy Kreme, got another dozen of the hot and ready, and brought a few home to us. So that's my Krispy Kreme story with Brooke and Janet eating all those donuts and then not knowing what to do. So they went and got more and ate more. And so, yeah, you can't turn down a hot and ready Krispy Kreme glazed donut.
I can. My wife
Okay.
can. I can.
Are you a Dunkin' guy or
I'm
a Krispy?
Well, I'm a Donna's Donut in Flint, Michigan, which is the world's best, but Donut comes close to it. It's still, and you could go that homemade. You ate there. We went there when we went to.
Yes.
But you said it's close to Krispy Kreme, and I was shocked. I was like, oh, okay. There's no elevating your class. Oh, you got Orchard Coffee.
It's been a long day, and our friends up at Orchard Coffee have saved my evening.
Very good.
And the best donut is at Britt's Donuts at Carolina Beach, North Carolina.
Got it.
Everybody that's listening to me now or is going to listen to our replay later that has been down there, they will agree. Britt's Donuts. So anyway,
let's get into sport.
You having a great week?
Oh yeah.
And listen,
what a weekend.
Yep. But before we get into sports, I want to do one thing, and this is totally off subject, but I would be remiss if we didn't talk about it. Yesterday was September the 11th, 23 years, and wow. First of all, I can't believe it. It seems like yesterday. I know where I was. I was the principal at a lot of school when everything took place, and those kids that were up there, and my staff. It was just a horrible day.
Right.
But we overcame, and and God bless those people. And I've been lucky enough to be to the ground zero about 3 times since then. So, I just wanted, and I know that you feel the same way that I do about September 11th.
By the way, segueing into sports is that Matt Olson just tied the Braves record with his 51st home run just about a minute ago.
And if I'm not mistaken, and as I take a sip of my Orchard coffee, a year ago during spring training, you were saying, "What a horrible." Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Was it you who said that was a bad move by the Braves to get rid of Freeman and have him?
Oh, initially to trade away Freeman, little did I know that his agent was playing games behind, which Freeman's fired, but to get
Yeah.
Matt away from the A's and let Freeman go to Los Angeles was a win. But the initial is like everybody else. Why are you getting the man, the heart and soul of your or your club? That's what I question. Matt
Well,
Olson.
they should have them both on that team.
Well, I
Olson can play in the outfield. Can you imagine how good they'd be with both of them?
hey, one can DH and one can play first.
Yeah.
They flip flop that way, so they don't But anyhow, Olson has turned out to be just as good. He doesn't hit the average. He drives in the same amount of runs. He's just having a hot year with the long ball right now.
Yep.
Freddie
And we're going
Freddie
to absolutely.
All right.
And we're going to get to baseball in a little bit, but let's go back to Mountain 7 football.
All right.
And a big week this week. We got some games we got some really big games coming up in week 1 of conference play. The Mountaineers are the open team this week. The other 6 are playing against each other. So we're going to learn a lot this week. And kind of going back last week with the Mountaineers, just got to make some stops and do away with some of those mistakes. And hopefully during the open week, they're working to get better at that.
Correct. A tough night, but it for the last 2 games, you have seen the opponent of Tuscola try to control to win the time of possession, go on long, time-consuming marches. Same MO. And I think that looking back at it, I recall Jack Holly when I was coaching at Whiteville said that you can't stop everything of your opponent's offense. He said, but you can stop the fullback. If you take away that element of their offense, if they're trying to run, successful teams run a fullback out of veer, wing, T, triple option. He said, commit to stopping the fullback, and then that element, which is their bread and butter, you take away everything, everything else will fall into place, but they can't run the fullback. They can't consume the clock.
Yeah.
And so what has happened, the last 2 games is what we're going to see the rest of the season. Nobody's content in letting Tuscola have that ball because it's like a minute 38 and boom, they put touchdowns on the board. And then the offense sits for 6 to 8 minutes. And, because of the clock consuming, and then they got to play catch up. I know if they win the toss, Coach Crompton will was going to take the ball and try and get a lead real quick. But still, the fact is you're going to see Smokey do the same thing. They're going to try and get in a balanced or an overload set. They're going to have 2 backs in the backfield with the quarterback, and they're going to try and pound. And so you're going to have to make the decision. You never can stop everything in your opponent's offense. So they got to come up with a game plan how to get that football back, either on downs or forcing them to punt.
Yep.
Once Tuscola gets a lead, a touchdown or 2, okay, they're in the driver's seat. Now you're going to force them out of the ball control stuff. But they're going to take the ball, and I suspect you'll see that in every single game because it worked in one half against McDowell County, and it worked the entire game with Swain County.
Yep. And we'll get back to those folks in a minute, and we'll get back to our guys here in just a minute. But let's open up with this. Franklin and at East Henderson at Franklin, Chuck.
Somebody's going to get a win. Somebody's going to get their first win. 0-3 against 0-4. Franklin off of a bye week. East Henderson having surprisingly could not handle at home Owen, losing 26-6 last week. And it's not that they lost. It was that lack, 3 games prior, they could score the points. They just couldn't stop anybody. And Owen, they couldn't put but 6 points on the board. So I don't know if they're coming back down to reality, but, they are going to go on the road to Franklin and play in the pit.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be a tough road trip for them. And, I think the Brooks, the Coach Brooks is going to have them ready and coming off the bye week. Franklin is not, they're not used to 0-3. They're not 0-3 people. And I see, my early thing here, I see Franklin rolling. Now, I don't know offensively, I don't know if they're going to be a juggernaut offensively, but they're going to score some points, and I don't think they're going to give up much against East. And I see Franklin with a good win.
I agree with 100% because, as Boomer said, there's nobody who can rally the troops and circle the wagons better than it's not the Buffalo Bills, but the Brooks brothers and the Franklin Panthers at home.
Yeah.
I look for Franklin to get a nice win and get their first win of the season.
Yep. And next, we've got the Mustangs at the Bears, Smoky at Pisgah. Hold on a minute. Hold on a second. Hold on. Sometimes you get in a little hurry. There. I don't want somebody to think I did something wrong on purpose. I was just in a hurry. There.
There you go.
There we go.
Well, this has turned into a nice little mini rivalry, since Ricky Brindley left to go take the Smoky Mountain job. And since he's been there, they've had some serious contests. This game right now is at Pisgah. Pisgah's on a roll. Smoky coming off of a hard, 2 losses in a row after their opening. They're 1-3. They've won the opener against Cherokee, and then lost 3 straight. And although you got beat by a very good Murphy team at Murphy last weekend, they did put 27 points. I believe it was 27 points on Murphy, so they can score. Ricky's a good coach. He's got a great staff. And he's got a good following, so that's going to be a good packed house at Memorial Stadium in Canton. But I just think there's just too much firepower for the Black Bears. They got weapons in Aaron Clark, the quarterback. They got a great, young, big junior offensive line dominated by 4 juniors and 1 senior, Eli Hyman. And they got the junior class is the up and coming class. This is where Coach Chappell's been waiting for this, the JV team, the freshmen and everything. So, he's got a great group. But look, I'm going to tell you something. I'll give you the names, 3 names on defense. Cole Smathers, Titus Bridges from the Bridges family that is just, there's a wrestler right there and a state caliber wrestler in the linebacker core. And then you got Jake Henson coming off the edge. These guys will rattle your back molars. No joke. They'll rattle your back molars. These are ferocious defensive players. And I think they carry the day for Pisgah. A dominating defensive performance against Smoky Mountain. They come away with a nice win.
Okay. And again, for me, I don't know a ton, but, just basing my stuff off of just what's happened so far this season. I don't know anybody you just talked about. You know, again, I've been out of that realm of it for a while. But I would think playing at home, looking to get that first conference win, playing against Ricky, and they're still in Smoky's they're still searching for what they're going to do offensively for their identity. And again, not having David Presley is a big loss. Because David retired. I'd say Pisgah, and I don't know anything about scores, but I think it'll be a what they used to call an old SEC slobber knocker.
Right.
I think so. But I say Pisgah. Pisgah's going to win. Don't know anything about points or any of that, but I'd say Pisgah's going to win at home against Smoky. And before we move on to the final conference game of the week, just real quick, please visit our friends at Orchard Coffee, 39 Depot Street in Waynesville. Honestly, all joking aside, you are not going to get better product, better coffee, the food that they serve, their staff, the courtesy, the cleanliness. You are not going to get anything better. Again, it is my mama approved, and my mama is a coffee connoisseur from all over the world. And she says she drives in, she comes in from Inca Candler now, from the condo to Orchard Coffee, because she says there's nothing else like it. So visit our friends up at Orchard Coffee, who were so good and gracious to come on board with us. And then for us here at Crompton Auto, man, I got a lot full of stuff. I got trucks, I got SUVs, I got 6 cylinders, I got convertibles, I got 4 cylinders. Good credit, bad credit, no credit, cash, don't make a difference. If you think you need to go to a buy here, pay here to get a vehicle, you probably need to come see me so I can get you the loan that you deserve and get your credit rebuilt, because I can get you in what you need. And leaving here early in the morning, looking to get 20 or so more by Friday, so we can fill this thing up. So come see us, CromptonAuto.com, 1256 Delwood Road. The reason I was a little haggard and forgot to push the live stream button at the start is just finished taking care of a customer at about 7:17, and I knew that I had to be on the air at 7:30, and some folks that really needed a car for her and her 3 children. So come see us, give us a chance. If you don't buy from us, that's okay, but give us a chance. I promise you, it'll be worth your time. Now, on to, I guess, surprisingly, when I say this, West Henderson at North Henderson with 2 undefeated teams. And I'm not throwing off on anybody, but no one really thought that North was going to be sitting here undefeated. And I know they didn't play the toughest preseason schedule, but you still 3-0 going in against the team that right now everybody has to say is the team that you got to beat. Everything runs through Mills River until proven otherwise.
Well, I do know one person told Rhonda Bird that, and that was Brett Chappell, before the season started. He says that his sleeper pick to make noise in the conference was North Henderson, and how right he was, because so far everybody's looking over going, they're 3-0. And we in our preseason show didn't even, kind of cast off North Henderson as North Henderson, but they got a good coach there. They got
great coach,
disciplined football. That's a recipe for a winning season. But they're going to have their big test right now, but they get to host it. And David, I've said this before on this show, that is one place I despise going, broadcasting, but to watch the team that you're rooting for as a visitor in that hole. It's just strange, weird things happen in games down in that hole at North Henderson. So anything can happen in those Henderson County schools, but like you said, everything runs through Mills River, and they're too strong offensively. but maybe North can make it an interesting game. But I think Falcons fly high in this one.
I'm thinking, West is going to win, and when I don't know that it's going to be close. I really don't. I mean, I think West Henderson big. They can run the ball, they got Truett Manuel out there. Not many kids play quarterback like Luke did, down at Gardner Webb now, the last 2 years. But if you get the ball near him, he's going to make a play.
Right.
And he's just a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal competitor. And I think the Falcons are going to fly high this week against North Henderson. I don't know that it'll be close. They're really good right now.
Right. Very strong.
And then,
hate that. You read the box scores. They just there's never a close game. That's the first 4 games. It was like that 2006 Pisgah team, or that 2009 Tuscola team. There was never a close game. They were just in command from opening kickoff. And that's the way West has been, so far this season in their first 4 games. So they'll get the chance to go 5-0 and 1-0 in conference play. It's very big. North Henderson has a lot to play for. They get they could get a jump start on being 1-0 themselves if they upset West.
Yep. And that leads us to the Mountaineers. Open date, and it probably could not have come at a better time. I think physically just a little bit banged up. Not and they didn't have. And I think that just again listening, playing their pre-conference schedule that they had to play this year, ended up they're 2-2. But the 2 games they lost, you're 1 play away in both games. A total of 3 yards in one game and the 12-yard line on the other. From being at 4-0, but yet you're 2-2, so you are who you are. But I think they've gotten better, and we will see. But the open date to me, and I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Chuck, but I think the open date came at a really, really good time.
I'm not a fan of open dates, but the way Coach Crompton talked about it is that it was much needed also. So it gives you a chance. It really, at this time, is to figure out what you're going to do defensively, to whether you're going to tweak, overhaul, or try to in some way fix the defensive unit. Not that they're bad, but what you're doing is you're what they're playing is sideline to sideline. When both McDowell and Swain shrunk it to the hash, inside the hashes. So now you got to have a philosophy of what you're going to do inside the hashes, because that's what teams are going to do, is they're going to try and play that ball control. You got to figure out what you're going to do and what you're going to stop. But the battle now is no longer from sideline to sideline for Tuscola's defense. It's inside the hashes, from hash to hash, all that inside the middle of the field. That's what they've got to stop.
And again, the open week, that's what those things are for. Right. For healing up, getting better, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Because, I mean, they've had a lot thrown at them in a short period of time, so I think the kids needed a break. I think the guys you don't really get a break on the coaching staff, but I think they just needed a chance to breathe just a little bit, because Jonathan has thrown a lot at a lot of people, a lot here, and sometimes you just got to take a deep breath and go, okay, I'm good here. I can breathe for a day or two, and then right back at it. So. Can we say that the numbers that the stats are there now, And everybody, especially the two of us, we don't have to, everybody, I guess this is more for me, you and I, than most of the folks watching us and listening to us. All the stats are there. I think the conversion, the switch over to the new system has taken place. And Chuck, let's start offensively in the conference, in our conference. And you want, I'll go to the rushing in the Mountain 7 to begin with. Okay.
Well, that would be your number 2 rusher inside the conference with 340 yards is Jed West. Gavin Langley's number 3 in the conference, 7 teams.
Yep.
And you got inside the conference, number 2 in the conference with 48 total points, touchdowns, and 2-point conversions is Jed West, number 2 guy. You got the number 3 rusher in Jonas Howard, 275. I skipped him. The number 1 passer with 919 yards is Jed West. And he's the number 1 guy in total yards with 1,259 yards in 4 games.
And he's 4th in the state. I mean, excuse me, he's 2nd in the state of North Carolina in total yards, correct?
3rd. But he's 14th in passing, and he's 3rd in total yards in the state in all classifications. You go into the all 3A teams. That's the classification that Tuscola is in. Jed West is number 1 in the state in total yards. And he's number 4 passer in the state 3A, excuse me. He's the number 1 passer number 1 in total yards in class 3A, and he's the number 4 passer in class 3A. But you got other people in the 3A classification. You got Howard is the number 14th person in total yards. Jonas Howard is, and then Brian Owencia is number 4 in total TDs. His 4 touchdowns personally and 4, a touchdown a game. Howard is number 14 in receiving and number 14 in rushing.
So they're getting better, and again, and I get everybody, the folks that were sending me things and sending me messages and saying, "Where's the numbers?" Excuse me, I apologize. Nobody was getting on Jonathan's nerves more than the 2 folks you're looking at right now. It was almost hilarious, but because he flat sent us a text and said, "Don't ask again."
Like the text after he sent it, I went, "Jonathan, I really respect you. Everything's good, and I understand where you're at."
Yeah.
Waited about a minute, and then I sent him a text. "Where are my stats?" It didn't go well.
So, it's the Tuesday after 4 weeks,
right?
And I asked this question of you, I think on Saturday, but on Saturdays, it's more of us asking questions than giving opinions because it's So, what's Chuck's thoughts on the Mountaineers 4 weeks in to this totally new thing for everybody?
An elite offense, and they haven't had a chance to really shine in the last 2 games. An elite offense, a defense that is in a work in progress. I was looking for a word since Friday, and it is a work in progress. Unlike college teams where you can go and recruit all your talent, you're playing with neighborhood boys. You're playing with kids in the neighborhood, in the school district, and you're going to go play with those kids. And and it's a work in progress to put out a defense. So I think, and if there's somebody who I think can do it, Coach Chambers and Coach and McCracken and Chambers are 2 coaches I know personally that are defensive-minded guys, and when they played, they were elite. I mean, they played, and when they hit you, they were rattling the back molars. And so they were physical types of players. They're intense. I believe they're going to do this, but it's a work in progress. It's not quick fix, and it's not easy. Because right now, after the last 2 games, your defense is a little shaken. There's a little confidence that, maybe lost confidence that, well, what's happening to us? Hey, you make adjustments with high school kids with what you got. You can't go out there and get that 6'4", 300 or 6'5", 300 kid, and just, say, well, we recruited you. Here you go. We'll put you out there and see what you do. You got to go with what you got. And here's the thing, people said, well, you're going to have to go 2 ways. I get that. But, all right, it's catch-22. If you go both ways, you're taking offense of personnel and putting them on defense. They'll never come off the field. Offense will take a step back. Now, do you want that elite offense that'll always keep you in a game? You got good defensive personnel. You just got to make them better. And I'll leave that to the coaches. But, if you play 2 ways, your offense is going to suffer. And I don't want – this is an elite offense under Coach Crompton that will put a ton of points. I mean, again, it was like a minute 36 going into the McDowell game. They could put up points in a minute 36. They had drives under 2 minutes. Boom, 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 touchdown. But now the last 2 games, they're just standing there watching, trying to get on the field. But there are some people going 2 ways. You got Shaid Jackson, you got Vang, you got Howard. So you got those kids that are going 2 ways. And so when you get that offense out there, you got to try and have fresh legs. So that's where my assessment is right now. You got good coaching. You got good fan support. Got good marching band. You got great cheerleaders. You got everything to make a Friday night experience worthwhile. Memories that you'll make. And if you're already pigeonholing them saying, well, they're not going to be very good on defense, you're going to miss something real special in these next 6 games and into the postseason. So you're going to miss this growth, and that's fun to watch. Remember what we were at the beginning of the year? Now look at us in the end of the year. That's my Tusco.
Okay. And I appreciate that, and I respect that, because you're not going to sit here and say something that's not true.
Right.
You're not going to beat up on high school kids, but you're not going to, you're not going to say something that's not true. So you're not playing Friday night, but we will have a coaches show Saturday, with or without Jonathan. I don't know what he has to going on with game planning. I don't know what he's got going on with the TV thing with Tennessee. But I would hope that he's here, and I'm going to get on him about bringing some guests with him this week.
And if he doesn't, we'll put a dummy in the seat and we'll roll with the show anyhow. We'll ask
That's right.
We want.
That's right. We'll have our own guest. So now, college football. You can't talk about college football right now without saying, and I don't want to spend the next 30 minutes on it, but my goodness, you have to talk about Colorado.
Oh, amen.
Whether people want to whether they like it, dislike it, that means I don't care. You have to talk about Colorado.
Colorado's not playing with the same Colorado team, so he's not coming in and building. Don't say that. That's not what has happened here. He just got rid of everybody. And I asked this question, would Deion going into Colorado be the same or and build so quickly if there was no transfer portal?
Oh, no.
Right. So
no.
He understood, I got the transfer portal. I can get all my players, throw my name out there. You can come play for the prime time, Coach Prime. And then he let everybody from Colorado go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was 87 players were released to go someplace else, politely released. And so with that, he rebuilt from the transfer portal. But what he's rebuilt, holy mackerel. That is special.
So far, they've gone from a 1-11 team last year. Right now, they're ranked 18th. They're 2-0 and playing really good football. Okay, Georgia ranked number 1.
Right.
I agree with that, but I still think right now you have to. I think Michigan or Florida State or Texas might be the 3 best teams in the country. You cannot say Georgia can't be ranked 1 because they should be, but I think Michigan, Florida State, and Texas have played really good football, regardless of the opponents, very early in the year. And Texas just laid the woodshed to Alabama. Laid the wood to Alabama, which makes my heart happy, which makes my heart full, which brings joy to our family. Jonathan lives and dies with the Mountaineers, but there's a little part of him that probably was saying to God, "Thank you for the Texas Longhorns," because
I know Tennessee fans are happy that Alabama. There's a lot of people that have that Alabama fatigue. I don't. I love what Alabama does.
I don't.
I love the coach, but
I don't.
Back to Georgia. Georgia can take a homeless man and put him at quarterback and still win the national championship. Everything they do is elite. Everything they do, they run, they pass, they play defense. They got great kicking games. They do everything. They got great coaching. Everybody's on the same page. And if they don't want to get on the same page, they show them the door.
Except for the fact that they speed up. They don't drive well. Driving is an issue. That's not a football thing. That's just, driving is an issue.
You're going to have
Just saying.
But
had to throw it in.
And I think that things are very special in Ann Arbor. I don't think Texas is ahead of Florida State. I think Florida State is 3 right now.
Yep.
I told you I'm still not sold on Florida State. Okay, that is the ACC's only contender. I like North Carolina, but they're a good story, but they're not in the category, I think, against right now in Florida State, barring injuries. They got weapons on that outside. That Keon Coleman kid, 6'4", and I don't know what his weight is, but can catch anything in an area code.
Yeah.
But I think that having the weekend and watching that game and watching Texas just manhandle Alabama in the interior lines, and that has been a story of this season, is that the SEC, when you talk about the SEC's dominant conference, which, they're still the best conference, but not as dominant as, in the past, is that if I said that you're going to have like 6 teams this year dominate the interior lines against an SEC team, outplay them, bully them, you would think you're crazy, but that's what's happened so far this year to SEC teams. So, but to watch it, I thought it was going to be all. As a matter of fact, John Truitt, who's an Alabama fan, just, he was worried, and I kept telling him, relax, it's Texas. Oh my God. Yeah, it was Texas. All Texas.
Texas. All day long. And then you got Southern Cal, which is going to be into the very end. Ohio State, which, let's just pass Ohio State. You can't even say it, because the words that come out of your mouth will get us, even on a platform that we can say anything we want and use any language we want. When I talk about Ohio State, the things that would come out of your mouth would still get us banned from here.
Like Ohio State friends, when I say that word,
yeah,
Buckeyes, but never mind.
Yeah, I'll just keep going. Going.
Look at them. Yeah. What?
And Washington, the Huskies are going to be in it to the end. Notre Dame, I don't see it. Alabama is going to be Alabama. The Volunteers, look, when you play who they played on Saturday, it's, you just get through it and get ready for Florida.
I have from that game that would shock you.
What you got?
All right, Austin Peay at Tennessee. 60 minutes of football. Austin Peay had the ball for all practical purposes 40 minutes, exact 39 minutes and 11 seconds. And Tennessee had the ball on time of possession of 20 minutes and 44 or whatever it was, 45, 49 seconds, something like that. Now stop and think about that. 20 minutes, and it was, okay, your first thing you think was high explosive plays, touchdowns. They won 56 to, whatever. But that was a 13-6 football game at halftime, and it ended up 28-6. And the head coach Heupel was talking, look, we'll get through this. We'll fix what the mistakes are and the way we played. We made mistakes, but 40 minutes by Austin Peay to 20 minutes Tennessee in time of possession.
Yep.
That to me, when I looked at it, I thought they had it reversed.
Yep. And before and I'm going to kind of go quickly through this top 25 because there's some other college stuff that I'm really excited that we're going to talk about in a minute. Oregon's going to be good. Utah's going to be good. The Pac-12 for their last year, the Pac-12's got some really good football teams, and they're going to beat each other up a little bit in their final conference year. But Oregon, Washington, Utah, Southern Cal, Washington State, and UCLA and Colorado and Oregon State are all pretty darn good football teams.
Right.
And we just made John Taylor smile. But so pretty good football teams. Duke and Carolina are both in the top 25, 20 and 21. Miami's right there at 22. And then you got Iowa. And I bet you that Iowa probably won't be in the top 25 long. You want to bet?
No.
Okay.
I'm not taking that. No.
You want to bet that?
Nope.
So, look, week 2, you just gotta survive in advance, and the top teams did. And before we move on from the Power 5, I'm going to say a word, like our little word association. I'm going to say a team, and give me a 30, 45 second response. Okay.
All right.
Clemson.
Fatigued. They're fatigued of Dabo stuff. I'm telling you, we talked about this over the weekend. There's problems in Clemson. The fans are starting to get up and get annoyed by some of the hokey stuff. To go and be in the game they were against Charleston Southern for the first half, everybody's looking around going, where's the explosiveness? They had problems again catching the football. Fatigued. They're fatigued of all the hype, and they want substance.
And and we talked about it, and we read a bunch of articles. I don't think it's a city. Is Dabo's not on the hot seat? I think Dabo might be fatigued.
That's a good point to make right there, David.
Because
that's a very good point.
One of the, I can remember a conversation that happened in my living room with a head football coach of one of the top programs in the history of college football, who said, there is a life cycle to what we do as a head coach. And we're only, some coaches can stay for 30 years, but the reality is the percentage of us, our shelf life might be 10 years, our shelf life might be 15 years, but we all have a shelf life. And I'm not saying this for Dabo, but I'm thinking maybe, Chuck, maybe his shelf life is close.
That's a good point to make, because Dabo, when he took over Clemson, it wasn't Clemson that we know about it. Dabo took about 7 years and built that thing, and all the, the fun they had, and they put Playland in there in their football center and all this stuff. And then they rose to prominence, and then they were one of the elite programs in the country. Now, all of a sudden, the last 3-4 years, it's not the same. It's slipping.
It is, but Dabo is now the one. I disagree with a lot of the garbage that comes out of his mouth, but that's just me. But the one thing that I agree with Dabo on is he is not a fan of the portal and he is not a fan of the NIL, and they haven't made that a point of emphasis. I think that has now caught up to them. Now their kids are making money and they're doing all this other stuff, but they're not making the money that you're making at Alabama. They're not making the money you're making at Georgia. They're not making the money you're making in Knoxville. They're not making the money that you're making in Columbia. They're not making the money you're making in Chapel Hill. And their stuff in the portal is nothing compared to everybody else. And I think it's catching up to them and on that end too. Because the guy who transferred, their quarterback who transferred to Oregon State, man, his dad Saturday, the thing that he put out on social media, a direct to Dabo, was pretty much, you keep thinking like you're thinking. You know, and didn't we talk about that maybe for just a second when we saw that? So, I mean, that's just a thought. I'm just thinking out loud.
Dabo put DJ out there on the limb and saw the limb off. It was
I've
all
been
his.
there, done that.
Okay.
Yeah, been there, done that.
It happens every year. Coaches look when the quarterback malfunctions, instead of going in and digging in your heels and helping that quarterback become who you thought he was in the preseason where he earned the job. If something's amiss, fix what's amiss. But instead, they go to the backup, boom, and they move the next one. Just remember this: DJ Ungolier was a number one prospect, high school prospect. Not the number one. He was the number one quarterback, but the number one guy coming out, and he went to Clemson, and they couldn't develop him. But yet, when he goes to Oregon State, and you're like, he torched the opponent. That was the guy we were wanting to see at Clemson, how great he was. And he was confident. He was smooth. But the Oregon State head football coach is a former quarterback at Oregon State. And he's a very mild-mannered guy. He's like Jonathan when he talks about things. He says, we got to teach the kid, not tell him what's going on. We have to teach him so he understands the concept of what is going on. And lo and behold, look what happens. I also point out another thing. The offensive coordinator, Tony Elliott, has gone up to Virginia and has laid a pterodactyl egg. Those 3 players that died, as tragic as that is, I mean, they have gone back to the days in the 70s when they were the last place team and one of the worst teams in the country. Virginia, of all places. So that was his offensive coordinator for many years. So that's the reality of this situation, is that if you buy, instead of asking, people don't ask questions enough, but they'll buy the hype. And just because somebody says it doesn't make it true. So you watch for things that says, is this true or is this a lie? Or is this just end up being, the propaganda of what a coach is trying to sell? And Dabo's team in the last 3 years has slid. Now, is Dabo capable of bringing it back up? Time will tell. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little Mountain College football.
Okay.
Let's talk Cullowhee, North Carolina.
Boy, they are talking some smack down there in Cullowhee. They went in, they brought Sanford in, and Sanford was supposed to have that offensive line and all this stuff. And boy, did they take it to Sanford. Not Stanford, Sanford. I'm still trying to talk with this gap in my tooth.
Yeah.
Sanford.
Yeah. 30-7, the Catamounts. 30-7 over Sanford. Big win up in Cullowhee, and change might be on the horizon. It might finally be here. Big win. Big win. And going to learn a lot this week against EKU as they travel to Eastern Kentucky.
EKU's coming off of a good football game against Kentucky, although they lost. But this is two similar teams in every way and every facet of the game, and they got good coaches. But I like where Kerwin Bell's taking this Catamount football team. I like Western Carolina in this. This may be the year. Hey, the Detroit Lions have been doing it for 60 years. This could be our year.
I'm kind of, you and I have a history out in Cullowhee that and it was dark at one point.
Hey, we're not about that time I got thrown in the pokey and you came.
No. But I am talking about we're standing there and look, they treated you and I like we were kings.
Right.
And that's the first thing they treat, because we were basically, one of the few folks that were out there saying, hey, pay attention to these guys, pay attention to this program. And we were standing there and the field was worn out. That remember the end zones. And you and I started raising hell about, man, you don't even have anything in your end zones. High schools do. You got nothing. And they went out and I don't know if it was because of what we said at that point, but remember they went out and got some paint and put WCU between the hashes in the end zone. And it was down. The program was down. They weren't spending any money. They were trying to get the kids in there. And it had fallen in almost disrepair. But it appears that our Catamounts, and they are Western North Carolina's team, along with my Mars Hill Lions, who I'll love forever as long as those coaches are there. And Craig Goforth is out at Mars Hill, and Coach Clifton and his staff are there. But man, you kind of feel it that the Catamounts do have a chance to compete in the SoCon this year. You really, really do.
Right. I think that the new president, they have gotten some new energy on the athletic board. Our friend John Truitt is on, it's his Western Carolina University. He's an alum, and he's on the athletic board. And you have new energy in there. You have an incredible athletic director that is, played baseball at Western Carolina.
Absolutely.
You got Kerwin Bell. So you got the great football coach. So now you got all the pieces that people of influence on campus that want to make Western great. They want to make Western great. And they have they're smart people. They know how they're patient and they're smart. They're taking steps forward all the time, not one step forward and two steps back at Western. They are taking baby steps, but they're always going forward, And yep. So you see riding on the road, these buses, two buses, the Western Carolina painted or whatever, wrapped buses. Wrapped in the school colors and the big Catamount head. That's a football team going to and from. So they got their own buses. So they had donors that went and got that, and that's another baby step. So when you leave them out there, recruits can say, we got our own buses. We're not traveling by Young's or somebody else. We're trying to fix up the facility.
Money in the facility. That's a big deal.
Right. So
money in the facility.
Now you go out there and you put the product out there. They have one of the best recruiting classes, if not the best, in 1AA. In the last 2 years, I think they've been the top dog as far as, or should we say top cat, as far as recruiting on the 1AA level. So now they're getting the athletes. And, it's a nice place for transfer portal people to jump in and make a contribution. So everything looks up, and you got the right people steering the bus, driving them forward.
Yep.
I think it's big time for Western Carolina.
Yep, I do too. The only, my only, and I hope we're going to have Coach Bell on one of our shows here in the next week or two, and but his biggest issue is he's a Gator. But we all can't be,
Volunteer.
Some of us have to be what we are, I guess.
He's a nice guy.
But
I will tell you go out, David, to the games, you get entertained not only with football. They got great cheerleaders, but they got the best band in the land.
Oh, their band is second to none in this country. And for me to make this statement, and it's a different style, but if I say that you're kind of on par with the Pride of the Southland band from Knoxville, Tennessee, I think highly of you. And again, it's a different style of marching band, but they're right up there with the band out of Knoxville. And I love the band out of Knoxville is just breathtaking.
What do you got against the 75-member marching deacons? What's wrong with that? What comes out is beautiful. They come out and you're thinking, where's the rest of the band?
They're in class.
They're in class.
They have to split it up. They're in class because they're studying at Wake Forest.
Absolutely.
And hey, a score update here real quick. Top of the 7th with 1 out in Baltimore. The Cardinals are leading the Orioles 4-2. And the Orioles really need to win tonight to maintain that best record in the American League.
What about Tampa Bay winning or losing? Or are they playing tonight?
1-1 in the 4th against Minnesota in Minnesota.
Okay. We got to have to keep the game lead over the Tampa Bay Rays. So
we've got just a few minutes left, Chuck, and I'm not going to put you on the spot about your inside information because you've been busy doing things, and I know that I don't want to put you on the spot with that. But before we get off here tonight, just sports, whatever, what do you got to get off your chest?
Well, I mean, it's not a whole lot. Is that I will talk about the one thing near and dear to my heart, and that is the fact that the SEC is no longer the dominant conference. They are 1-4 against the ACC, and they are 2-6 against all Power 5 teams. Now, you've played 29 games, and you only have played 8 of them against Power 5 conference teams. Look, no more of these St. Pius middle schools and Joe's Barber College schools you play in the SEC. No, in all seriousness, they're okay, you win with that. You win the argument with that one right there.
No, listen, I'm not there yet. But I think the way that we're headed in college sports in general is, the SEC's vision, I think, was to be the super conference in everything.
Right.
But when they opened up Pandora's box, the Big Ten said, not so fast, my friend.
Right.
And then the Big 12 said, we're not going down without a fight. You do what you want, Oklahoma. You do what you want, Texas. We are going to fight, scratch, and claw. And They have to this point. The ACC, a month ago, was on the verge of being what the Pac-12 was turned into.
Right.
And bringing in Cal, and I can't believe this, Cal and Stanford and SMU, and keeping Clemson and Florida State has kept them as one of the elites. Now, as conferences overall, football. I mean, we're talking strictly football right now.
Right.
The SEC is still the dominant conference. Everything's still going to go through Athens. I still think I still think things got to go through Tuscaloosa. I'm not convinced about Baton Rouge this year. And I'll tell you this. Don't overlook, and again, when I say it, they go, yeah, that's just David. Don't overlook what's happening in Knoxville. This guy is a guy that the program's been searching for. He's not going to go. He's there. He understands where he is and what he's going to be a part of. So don't overlook the Vols long term. Don't overlook Georgia, as you said. But still, you can't turn your back on Alabama. And I'm just not convinced that LSU can be that team this year. But then again, you turn around and you go, Michigan is elite. Michigan is elite. Am I wrong or am I right?
Right.
We don't know much about Penn State, even though they're ranked in that top 6 or 7. Don't know much about Penn State. But Franklin's a good coach. I know that, and I think it's you, somebody, maybe, I think it's you that's not convinced on him yet.
Right.
And I could be wrong. If I am, I apologize, and you correct me.
It's me.
I'm not sure that I think Ohio State and LSU might be in a down year. Now, they'll win some football games, but a down year for them is a couple of losses. So maybe it is spread out. But again, you go back to the Pac-12, even though this is their last year, and you got to say Southern Cal has a legitimate chance, correct or not?
Correct.
Washington has a chance.
Correct.
Oregon has a chance.
Most definitely.
Utah has a chance.
Not after they barely won against Baylor on the road. I'm not sold on that one right now.
Texas has a chance.
Let me back up. Utah's playing with a quarterback. Until they Cam Rising, that may change. But right now, I don't know when Cam Rising's coming back from the knee injury.
Okay.
So right now, no on.
Okay. Texas has a chance.
Most definitely.
Oklahoma has a chance.
No.
Okay. Who else from the 12?
From
the Big 12 plus 8. Whatever.
The Big 12?
Yeah, the Big 12. Texas.
Texas. I don't think Oklahoma. I don't. Kansas will make some noise. Kansas. They got the coach that was at Wisconsin Whitewater, Division III school that won all those national titles, them and Mount Union. And he took over and turned Buffalo around. Now he's gone out to Kansas, and he has turned it around in his third year. I watched that game against Illinois on Friday. Don't sleep on Kansas. Don't sleep on Kansas.
Right. Let me say a couple more teams.
Okay.
Do they have a chance? Colorado.
Yes.
I kind of agree right now. I kind of agree. Yeah. Do they have a chance? Oklahoma State.
No. Watch them against Arizona State. That's the beauty of our cable or streaming and all that stuff. You can not worry about missing games on Saturday or Friday or Thursday. You can watch them Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. But I don't think they got issues at quarterback.
Okay.
Gundy's son is playing.
All right. Give me a couple more teams that aren't just jumping out at us that you think has a chance, regardless of the conference. Because you speak a lot in our stuff away from here about conferences. Right. I'm starting to look at things differently and not talking about conferences as much because of the situation we're in. And I think, again, I think college sports is dying anyway, the way that they've done it. But anyway, give me a couple or 3 teams that you go, they've got a chance that nobody's talking about.
I think Notre Dame has a chance because of their independence and their schedule.
Okay.
And got the best quarterback play that they have had since Montana.
And he's only 37 years old in his 12th year of college
Hey, he's
football.
on the 10-year plan.
Yeah. All right. Notre Dame, who's next?
I would have to say that having a chance, I think Penn State has a chance. I'm not sold on the head coach, but they play defense in the elite category, and I think they have a chance. I'm looking at my list, and
I'm going to say a school.
okay,
Are you up or down? Wisconsin.
No. They are changing the philosophy. They're no longer going to be the power run game offense. They got Mordecai at quarterback. I watched them play against Washington State in Palouse, and they don't have a chance. They'll win some games. They got, Fickle is a great, great coach, but not this year. Maybe when they get a big time, gunslinger at quarterback. But no, not right now.
Okay. So, everyone, we're gonna get out of here in just a second. Please go support your local high school football team on Friday night. I want you and please, if they are playing college football on Friday night, find somebody, call and complain. College football should not be played on Friday night. That should be for high schools. So if they're playing college football on Friday night, raise Cain and let's get all that stopped. But go support your local teams on Friday night. The Mountaineers are open, healing up, getting ready. And, man, the next game is at the Pit. And there's nothing easy at the Pit in Franklin, North Carolina.
Folks, you left out one team who has a chance.
I apologize. Who?
Elma College, Division III powerhouse.
That's it, baby. The Scots. Hilt up, baby. Hilt up.
52-7 in the opener and 68-0. Now, you want to talk about playing Joe's Barber College? Okay, that's a different story now when we do it. But that's my alma mater. We have a chance, 2-0.
That's it. So, Chuck.
Right there.
And
they're dead center in the midst of Michigan. But it's in the valley, so it doesn't get cold at all during the 12 months.
Okay. I believe that it doesn't get cold up there. Okay. All right. Okay. So anyway, we're going to be back Thursday night. Going to get talk a little bit more about Friday night's games in the Mountain 7. And Chuck, let's see if we can do a little more research and talk about some Western North Carolina high school teams, specifically in the MAC. Let's kind of get and talk about the MAC, because we got Inca and Irwin and Reynolds and Asheville and Robertson kind of right here in our midst. And let's kind of see if we can square up on that, okay? So hold on. Before we get off, something, John Taylor. There is a halftime score. IMG Academy of Florida, 96. West Toronto Prep of Canada, 0 at halftime, and they had to call the game. So thank you, John Taylor. As always, you are a mountain of information, and 96-0 at halftime. Chuck, any final words? We're going to get out of here. Be back Thursday night, 7:30. And I want to thank everybody before you say goodbye. And I'm not going to read the letter that I got this week, but I sent it to Chuck, and we are all stunned at the responses we've gotten for this in the Coaches Show with Jonathan, in this network in particular, and we're praying for you, and you know who I'm talking about. I don't want to use your name here. We're praying for you and your family, and thank you for thinking of us, and thank you for having us on in your time of need, and hope. Thank you for saying we bring a little relaxation and joy to your life with that health issue. So I'm going to throw it to you, Chuck, to say goodnight, and I'll see everybody Thursday here on the David and Chuck Show. See ya.
Auf Wiedersehen, everybody.
See you, Chucky. See you guys.
Bye.